Alright guys, one moment before we're starting cycle 3, I just want to say two things. First of all, this saga of videos is not here to give you any kind of strategical advices or something like that. It's just me trying to show you as much a playthrough as possible and very straightforward. So it is true that I might do sometimes things that don't seem to be strategically reasonable. But it's just because I'm doing it very quickly in order to bring those videos to you as quickly as possible. But for me, I caught two mistakes that were just a little bit too much from the last video, and I wanted to repair that. So first of all, I wanted the blue player, instead of taking the corruption from his own board, I think it will make much more sense if he will take it from the sector itself, because he's going to be able to score like this much more points, because we can already see that the gap between the yellow and the blue player is a little bit too big, let's say. The second thing is that I totally forgot when the blue player did the organize action from the prosperity card to put an installation. So with that, I would like to put a shipyard right over here. It's not supposed to disturb the yellow player too much, because really it doesn't affect the yellow player directly, but it does seem a little bit not fair for the blue player. So now if we need to readjust the influence points for the blue player, it will be like this. He has one more pure sector, that's another 3 points, and then that means he has one more point for the sector defense. And we have here a shipyard, that means 2 more points, so already 6 points. And for the second agenda card, we can see that we have here another pure sector with 2 fleet power and more. So that 5 more points, that's 11 more points. So from 75, he actually is supposed to have 86. So at least that closes the gap a little bit between the two players. So without further ado, let's start now cycle number 3 and see what we have over here at phase A. So the first thing that we need to do is to take this trade token from the galactic board. Then moving to number 2, we are going to take out all the improved technology that we can see on the galactic board in this market, and we're going to replace it with the other 4 new improved technology that we can see over here that we prepared it before. So we're going to have here the carriers, we have here the hyperdrive, the escape pods, and robotics. Going to number 3, we can see that the blue player has less influence than the yellow player, so he can decide where he would like to be in this turn order, and naturally the blue player will decide to play first. And for the fourth part, we're going to take the top card from the deck that says here cycle number 3, and let's see what do we have over here. So here we have a Total War Galactic event, and already we can see that each player is going to have 5 turns, so a little bit more than what we saw in the 2 other galactic events. Here, what the 2 players will have to do in turn order is to add 1 more fleet power for the Voidborn, and another glory token that has number 3 on it, and a sector defense on 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. So let's start with the blue player, but we can already see that the adjacent sector of the Voidborn that is adjacent to both of the players is this one for the blue player and this one for the yellow player. Now in a standard sector, we can't have more than 1 Voidborn fleet token. And that means that when we have a fleet token that has already 3 fleet power, we won't be able to add there another one. Sometimes we'll have sectors like the one that we can see over here in the middle that does have the option to have more than 1 fleet token for the Voidborn. Sometimes it will be 2, sometimes it will be 3, but in any other sector, if it's not something that we can see specifically, we cannot have more of this. So obviously, not the blue player and not the yellow player will be able to add 1 more fleet power for the Voidborn. Guys, I'm just going to do here a quick cut because I found out that I did here a major mistake. In the rules, page 8, section 5a, it says that if the instructions inside this frame cannot be executed to the fullest, then you need to completely ignore whatever is written inside. And since you cannot add another fleet power to these Voidborn sectors, I shouldn't have also added the glory tokens and the sector defense. So it's not something that I'm going to repair. It's just a mistake that we all have to live with this together. I sincerely apologize. and I just need to roll with it because redoing the video, it's just going to be a little bit too much. So again, I'm sorry, let's continue. So we're going to continue to the next thing, and that is to add a glory token of 3 to that specific sector. So we have here this glory token, and also we have another sector defense. The same thing the yellow player will do. So this is the glory token and one more sector defense. Now in the second part, we can see that the players, if they would like, but we both know that there is not a real reason for them not to do that, the players will be able to choose one of their non-starting agenda cards and score points for it again, and or deploy one fleet power at a shipyard. So let's start with the blue player. Again, he has only one non-starting agenda card. So we can already see that the left part is not relevant because he is not at that stage. But on the other side, we do see that he has 2 pure sectors with a 2 fleet power or more in each of them. So he will score 10 points. And from 86, he will go up to 96. Also, he will choose to deploy one more ship right over here because he has a shipyard, and we can continue to the yellow player doing the same thing. So first of all, he has this agenda card that he can take points for. It's the only one that he has that is not a starting agenda. On the left side, we can see that we're looking for a pure sector defenses because we don't have star bases over here. So we can count 1, 2, and 3, and this is exactly what he's looking over here. So from 96, he will go up to 101. And also for each fleet power in a pure sector, he will receive a 2 influence. So over here we have 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 more, that's 7, and then the last one is 8. So 16 more points. From 101, he will go to 117. And because he doesn't have right now active fleet power, he cannot deploy anything. So that's it for this galactic event for now. And we're going to continue to phase B, starting with the blue player. The first focus card that the blue player will play is the innovation. And with this card, he would like also to play this agenda card that will allow him to invade. So let's start first of all with the invent action. That means that we need to pay here 2 signs. So from 4 we will drop down to 2, and that will allow him to take a new basic technology because he already has an improved one and only one tracker that passed the first threshold, so he cannot acquire another improved technology. The blue player will acquire the escape pods technology, and that will allow him first of all to gain 4 influence. So from 96 now he will be at 100. And also he will be able to take a trade token, also of course receiving one of the bonuses that he would like. I think he would like to have 3 more influence, since we're already stepping to the last part of the game. So 103 influence. And also he will be able to activate one of the fleet power. Escape pods are pretty interesting. We're going to see it in just a moment. The second thing that he would like to do is to consolidate, and that means that he's going to pay 1 food, 1 energy, and 1 material in order to take an agenda card. So he would like to take this wealth agenda card, and we're going to put a new one right over here. This agenda card goes to his hands, and now it's time to resolve the action from the agenda card, and that is to invade. So let's try to do this without actually moving any pieces. Bear with me, guys. So basically he will invade with 4 corvettes, right? 2 from here and 2 from here, because he doesn't want to abandon any one of the sectors. So he's invading with 4 fleet power actually. Here we're going to have 2 sector defenses. So if we go to the combat board, we can see that each one of them in the approach is going to do 1 damage, but he has the improved technology of the shield. And that means that he receives 1 approach absorption. So basically only 1 fleet power will be destroyed here. But pay attention to the new technology that he acquired, and it says that in combat, when you need to recall, we can say, okay, but put back in the active area one of the fleet powers that were just, let's say, destroyed. You may instead move that fleet power to your home sector once during each combat. So the fleet power that was destroyed, instead of putting it in the active area over here, is going to go back to our home base. And that is not a bad thing at all. So now that we finished the approach, we're going to move on to the salvo. Now that we have 3 fleet power that is here, we can see that we are equal, so we're going to do damage at the same time. But again, because we have the shields technology, the blue player will absorb the first damage that the Voidborn is doing, but at the same time will cause 1 damage. And that means that over here, the Voidborn just lost one of his fleet power. Going to the second salvo round, now the blue player has the initiative because he has 3 fleet power against 2. So he's going to do first 1 damage, but in this case, the Voidborn is still going to do to him 1 damage. So we're going to take this fleet power from here, and now we're going to put it back in the active area because the escape pods only activate once per combat. And then going to the last salvo phase, now the blue player again has the initiative, right? 2 versus 1, and that means that over here, this Voidborn fleet has been annihilated. So what happens at the end is that we have here 1 Corvette fleet token with 2 fleet power on it. The first thing that we will do is to take out the installations that were destroyed. The next thing that we will do is to take the 2 glory tokens that we can see over here. That is 3 and 2. We're going to add them right now next to our board, and then we're going to score for all of them. So we have here 7, 9, 12, 14 points. So from 103, we're going to have here 117. The next thing that we will do is to take this bounty token that we have over here, and here he will be able to choose between 2 materials or 1 influence point. At this time, he would like to take actually the 2 materials because he has 0, so from 0 it will go to 2. Now over here, this is already not a standard sector as we can see over here. So let's start with the first thing that we can see. And that is when you take control over this sector, you may move the corruption that is on it, if it exists, but here we can see that it exists, to any other place, either to another sector or to your board. So the blue player would like to do that, and soon you'll understand why. So he's going to take this corruption and going to move it, let's see, over here. So this sector will be corrupted. Now the second part over here says that if this sector is pure, every time you will build here a farmer, an engineer, or a miners guild, the population will grow by 1. And that is pretty powerful. And that's it. That's the action of the blue player. So for cleanup, let's put this one over here, this agenda card. Then this token will be able to put right over here. After that, we see that we have 5 glory tokens, but we know that we can have a maximum of 4. So obviously we'll get rid of the lowest one, which is number 2 over here. And I think, guys, we're okay to continue to the yellow player. The yellow player will decide to play the politics card, and he will try to resolve it like this. So first of all, he would like to do the prevail action. That means he needs to pay 2 energy. So he's going to pay 1 energy and 1 credit. And for the other thing, he will pay another credit. And then he will be able, first of all, to upgrade one of his glory tokens. So from number 3 over here, we're going to upgrade it to number 4. And then he will be able to perform the invasion. So the invasion will be taking these 3 fleet power, moving it over here, and also he will attack with this fleet power, and also he will advance the carrier itself. So because we have here a sector defense, that means that this fleet power will go back to the active area, as we can see over here. And then after we finish with the approach, we're going to go to the salvo. So the yellow player has the initiative, and because he has torpedoes, that means he's going to take down 2 of this fleet power of the Voidborn. But then it's the time for the Voidborn to fire back. So also this fleet power will go back to our active area. But then in the last, salvo round. Again, the yellow player has the initiative, and that means that this Voidborn fleet has been annihilated as well. So now we have here basically the same thing. Let's take these two glory tokens of 3 and 2. We're going to add them over here and then we're going to score. So 8, 11, 14, 16 points. From 117, we're going to go to 133. Then we'll take the bounty token and we will see that we can have either one food and material or one influence. I think that the yellow player will take one influence at this point of the game. So from 133, we're going to have 134. And that's it for this action for the prevail. And now we can again choose if we want to move this corruption, but instead of moving it or something like this, we can just do the next action, that is to inspire. So we're going to pay 1 science from 4, we're going to go down to 3. Then we're going to advance this tracker right over here, and then we can just take out one of the corruptions that we have either on our board or in one of the sectors. So we're just going to take this corruption and having another pure sector. The yellow player has finished his turn, going back to the blue player. Next, the blue player will do the production focus card and also will play the agenda card that goes with it. So first of all, let's do the action of the agenda card, and that is to put a guild for our choosing in one of the sectors. So let's boost our energy because I would like to also produce energy. So if we're going to put it right over here, I remind you that in this sector, because it is pure and this is an engineer's guild, it's going to push the population from 3 to 4. So we're going back over here, and from a 7, we're going to have a production level of 11. That means we're producing 10. And as we can see over here, we're going to produce the same resource that we just put its guild. So we're going to have now 10 energy. That is pretty sweet. That's supposed to last us until the end of this cycle. The next thing, let's go to the focused card itself, the action that is called supply. So we're going to produce, first of all, food, so to 6. Then we're going to produce energy. So now we're producing 10, and something interesting is going to happen here. Obviously, when we need to go to 10, 15 is our maximum. Okay, we cannot have more than that. That means that we have something that's called overproduction. Now, every time that we have an overproduction, and doesn't matter by how much, it can be by 1, by 10, or by 100, we can see over here that we will receive 3 influence. Now, pay attention, it's only when you're overproducing and not when you're receiving a specific resource, let's say from a bounty token or some sort of a trigger, only when you need to produce, and now you cannot produce anymore, okay, this overproduction. So we're going to have 15 energy, and we're going to receive 3 more influence. So we're going to climb to 120. And then we're going to produce materials as well. So we're going to go from 2 to 5. And then let's see how many pure guilds we're having. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 guilds that matters in this case. So from 120, we're going to go to 125. The next thing that we would like to do is to optimize, and that means that we're going to take down 1 food from 6 to 5 and 1 energy from 15 to 14. And what we will be able to do is to take out one of the corruption and or move. So first of all, let's take out the corruption right over here. So again, we have a pure sector. And for the movement, let's move this one that we saved from last round. That is amazing. Let's move it 2 times. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to have here a fleet power of 3, a fleet token with 3 fleet power. And I think that we finished. So for the cleanup, we're going to take this agenda card and put it over here. Now pay attention that as long as this location of the agenda card is corrupted, the blue player will not be able to score for this agenda card. Super important. And that's it. We did our 2 action with the agenda card, moving back to the yellow player. The yellow player will do the development focus card that we can see right over here, and he will do the 2 top actions. So let's start with grow. For this, we will need to pay 1 material. So from 2, we're going to go to 1, and then either put an installation or we're going to put a guild of our choosing. First of all, again, I totally forgot to take out this installation over here that was belonged to the Voidborn. But in any case, I think that I will put there a shipyard installation that will help us a little bit later. And moving on to the next one, that is to settle. So it means that we're going to recall one of these fleet power back to our active area. And we're going to put here one guild and or one installation. So actually, let's put there, instead of a sector defense, let's put there another shipyard. Now, as you can see, guys, already I forgot to take one of these glory tokens while I did cleanup. So let's just discard it quickly right now. And for the guild, I would like to put there, let's put there another farmers guild. So we put there a farmers guild in this sector. That means that we're going to move the population from 3 to 4. So also the production over here will go from 5 to 9, the production level. And that's it. That was our 2 actions. Moving back to the blue player. The blue player, guys, is not resting, and he will perform the conquest focus card. So let's put it right over here. The first thing that he would like to do is to strategize, and that means that he's going to pay 1 credit from 3 to 2 and 1 energy from 14 to 13. And he will take a dominance agenda, but he doesn't like what he can see right over here. So he's just going to take 2 and will decide which one to keep. So he chose 1, the other one goes to the bottom of the deck, and he will put this card at his hands right now. Then the other thing that he would like to do is, of course, to engage. So he's going to spend 2 energy from 13, will go to 11. And he will invade with a 2 fleet power. Now here's the interesting thing. Here we can see that this is a sector that belongs to a fallen house. We haven't talked about them yet, so this is an awesome opportunity. So let's, for now, just focus on what is written over here. And we can see that this fallen house has 2 sector defenses. So in the approach step, they're going to inflict 2 damage, but because we have the improved shield technology, we're going to absorb 1 of those, and they're going to lose only 1 fleet power. But don't forget also that we're synchronizing now with the escape pods, so we're just going to receive this fleet power in our home sector. This is just, guys, this is beautiful. Now, because there is no more fleet power over here, that means that we took control over this sector. So what happens now? Let's do it step by step. First of all, we're going to take this glory token and we're going to put it next to our board and we're going to score for it. So we have here 7, 9, 10, 13 points. So we're going to have here 138. Then we're going to take the reclaim token over here and let's see what can we get. So either to take 1 resource of our choosing or in this sector to put one of the engineers guild. So I think right now we don't need any more engineer guilds. Let's take 1 food, making sure that we're okay for the upkeep. And then the last thing is that we're going to take this fallen house card and we're going to see 2 things. First of all, we get to choose one of these basic technologies to acquire, either the carriers or the central surveillance. The blue player has decided that he would like to compete with the yellow player over the carriers improved technology, so he will take this basic carrier technology over here and will tuck it in this place. Now, before we're doing that, we're going to activate one of this fleet power, and then also we have the possibility to pay 1 food in order to deploy one of these carriers to our home sector. So let's do that. Let's pay 1 food. So from 6 we're going to go back to 5, and then we're going to take this and a carrier token, or a mini in our case, and we'll put it right over here. Now, when we're flipping to the other side, this fallen house card, we can see that we have here another place to put technology. So we can have not only 5 technologies, we can have the 6 technology. So we don't have here a lot of space. I hope it's okay for you guys if I'm going to put it over here. Of course, it's supposed to continue this line, so forgive me for now. The blue player has finished doing these 2 actions, so we're moving back to the yellow player. The yellow player is starting to be a little bit uncomfortable, so he's going to play the production focus card to do the two top actions. So first of all, he will do the thrive action. That will put it right over here. So that means one more science and one more credit. And then the next thing he will just produce with a supply action. So right now he will have 12 food, right? 6 more. And that means 4 energy and 5 materials. Also now we're going to see how many pure guilds that matching the criteria we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is 6 more influence. So from 134, we're going to have 140. Going back to the blue player. The blue player will decide to do the reinforcement card. So let's start first of all from mobilize. He will take down from 11 to 10 energy in order to move 5 times. So this is going to be 1 and 2, and then this is going to be 3 and 4. So this we can take off the board. And then we'll be able also to play a sector defense. So let's put that sector defense right over here. Then the second thing will be to pay 2 materials in order to master. So let's see what are we going to do. So here we're going to have a combination of 2 technologies that is pretty cool. First of all, we can put right over here, because we have the orbital docks, we're going to put here 2 fleet power. Another fleet power I'm going to put right over here. Now the last fleet power I can put right over here because the carrier is acting like a shipyard, and because we have the orbital docks, it's like we have another shipyard. But this kind of combination between the 2 technology cards is only if we don't have an installation of a shipyard in that sector. So the last fleet power I'm going to leave right over here in our active area, and we'll see what we'll do about it later. Moving back to the yellow player. The next card that the yellow player would like to play is the reinforcement card. So let's see what we can get from this one. First of all, we're going to deactivate one of the fleet power in order to push one of our trackers and put a sector defense. So let's push this one right over here. And with the technology, we will take the improved carriers. So here we can see that first of all, we will gain 6 influence. So from 140, we'll go to 146. And also we'll be able to activate 1 fleet power. Let's do it over here. And now we can deploy one of the carriers if we will pay 1 food. So let's change this technology over here. But the yellow player would not like to deploy right now this carrier. So let's just move on to the next thing, and that is to put one of the sector defenses. I think that the yellow player will put it right over here. Moving on to the next thing is to muster. So we're going to pay 2 materials from 5, it's going to be 3. And then we can start deploying. So let's take these 3 fleet power and see what's going on. In this sector, we can see that we have 2 installations of shipyards and another carrier. So we have here basically 3 shipyards, which is enormous. So because we have so much food, let's do something crazy a little bit from Star Wars and deploy 2 more carriers over here. And we can pretty much hear the music in the background. Dum, 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 da-dum, dum, da-dum. But just don't forget that we need to pay for it 2 food. So from 12, it will go down to 10. And because we can deploy 1 more fleet power, we're going to put over here this one, so we can have another corvette. And that's it, that's the 2 actions of the yellow player. As a reminder, this is going to be the last focus card that the blue player is going to use before the end of the game. So we're going to use the Temptation focus card. Now with the Temptation focus card, he would like to play also this agenda card. So let's see what we're having over here. The 2 bottom actions of the Temptation focus card, we have a certain effect. Doesn't matter right now because I'm not so sure the blue player will do it. But pay attention that the price you need to pay in order to do them, because they are powerful effects, is to take one corruption and put it either on your board or in one of your sectors. Again, guys, I'm not so sure this is the focus card that I should have played here, but it's just something that I really wanted to show you. So let's start first of all with the action that we can see right over here. That is called exploit. Now, if we're looking at the house mat right over here in this section, we can see that we have here two icons of two of the focus cards that we use. Now, it doesn't matter if we already played them or if they're in our hand or whatever. When we see this, it means that from one of these cards, they're called the preferred focus cards, if I'm not mistaken, we'll be able to choose one action from those and perform it. Of course, we will need to pay for this action. So for example, I will be able to do one action from the progress card or one action from a card that we already played, and that is the reinforcement. I think that we would like to take a technology because it's going to gain for us a little bit more points. So I'm going to choose this action right over here from the progress card. That is called to invent. We're going to pay for it 2 science. So that is our last 2 science. From 2 we're going to go down to 0. And I can take another technology. So let's take this arc ships technology just because I think it's going to give us some cool bonuses. So over here we can see that we can take 4 influence. So from 138, we're going to have 142. Then we'll be able to push one of the population in a pure sector 1 more. So let's see, why not? Let's put it over here. So from 4, it will go to 5. And that means that we're going to have 1 more production in a credit and 1 more in food. And also we'll be able to put a guild of our choosing somewhere. So let's do that with Farmers Guild, okay? We'll put it over here, and that means that we're producing more food. So from 7, it's going to go to 11. And we're going to put this right over here. I'm going to block a little bit what's going on. I think it's okay. So that is this action that I decided to put right over here. Now, I could take one of those, for example, actions, but it means to take a corruption. And I think that at this point of the game, every point will matter. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed that I could not take this corruption outside of the board. I just really wanted to show you the temptation. And already as I'm speaking, I see that I have here again 5 glory tokens. So let's take one out. I'm really sorry about this, guys. But don't forget that this is why the cleanup phase right over here is super important. Don't dismiss it. It's going to help you a lot. And then the second thing that he would like to do is to actually play another invasion, because hopefully it will score a little bit more points. So let's invade obviously to this sector. It's the only one that is left. And we're going to do it with this 3 fleet power. So I remind you, because we have the improved shields, then the damage in the approach phase that the sector defense is going to do will not going to apply to us. Then we see who has the initiative. So obviously it's the blue player. So that means that the blue player will destroy one of these fleet powers, and then it will be the Voidborn turn. But again, we have the shield. So in the first salvo, we can absorb one of this damage. And then when it's the blue turns again, because he has the initiative, he's just going to annihilate this. So let's do it quickly. It means that this is gone right over here, this sector defense. And also we take this bounty token. So whatever the bonus is over here, I think that the blue player would love to have 1 more influence. So from 140 to 143. And also he's going to take this glory token that I will not forget at the cleanup this time, put right over here, and let's score for this thing. So we have here 4, 3, 7, 9, 12, 15 points. So 158. Now, on top of that, we can see over here in this sector that when you take control of it, we actually going to improve the production of food, of energy, of basically all the resources. All the production is going to be improved by 2. So 11 to 13, 11 to 13, 4 to 6, 8 to 10, and then 3 to 5. And that's it, guys. That was the last turn of the blue player. So for the cleanup, first of all, of course, let's take this token back into the supply. And also, this agenda card. If we wanted, we could have replaced it with this one. To be honest, I think that it is exactly what we're going to do. Yeah, that is pretty sweet. To be honest with you, this is much better than this one. So let's change it. We can replace it because it doesn't match the other agenda. So we're just basically changing it one for one. And this one we can put back at the bottom of this deck right over here. Now let's go to the yellow player's last action. So come on, we've been waiting this the whole game. Let's do one combat between these two players and see what's going to happen. Again, this is in no case a strategical advice. I just want to show you what's going on and, to be honest with you guys, also have a good time. So the yellow player will decide to play the conquest card that we have right over here, and let's see how it will go. First of all, he would like to play 3 materials. So from 3, it's going to go to 0. And we're going to activate 2 of this fleet power. We're not going to do the middle action, but we are going to do the topmost action, that is to invade. So we're going to spend 2 energy. You know what, just for the fun of it, let's spend 2 credits, stay on 0. And now we're going to invade. So why actually did I want to activate these 2 fleet power? And that is when I remind you that when we invade with a carrier, we can deploy for each fleet power of the carrier, we can deploy 1 corvette fleet power. That is pretty sweet for this combat, right? So basically, again, we can hear this Star Wars music, and we're going to invade 1 over here and also this one, and the 2 fleet power that I'm adding. Now, I remind you again that it is okay to do it because we're not yet at the cleanup. So we can have 1 million fleet tokens, doesn't matter, as long as in the cleanup, in each sector, we don't have more than 2 fleet tokens. So let's see what's going to happen over here. First of all, we don't have anything for the approach besides the carrier special ability. So now it's just going to be salvo after salvo. So obviously the initiative will be of the yellow player. So he's going to fire first, but the blue player has shields, but also the yellow player has the torpedo. So he's going to have 1 more. And unfortunately for the blue player, it's a little bit too much. So he's going to lose 1 over here, but don't forget that we will receive it thanks to the technology of the escape pods. Not that it's going to matter maybe too much, but okay. Now it's the time for the blue player to retaliate. So he's going to take out this fleet power right over here. It's going to come back to our active area. Then in the second salvo, then it's going to be the yellow player initiative. He's going to take out 1. Now we don't have any more defenses or something like this. And the blue player is going to do exactly the same thing. So here for the active and here for the active. And in the last salvo round, then it's going to be the yellow player that is going to prevail. So he's going to take out the last fleet power of the blue player. And again, a few things are going to happen over here. First of all, the blue player has lost this sector, and that means that his production is going to go down now 2 in each one, right? That is only fair. And the yellow player is going to gain that control, so he's going to have more production. So I'm going to do it off camera, but you'll have to trust me on this one, because it really doesn't matter anymore. It's the last action. And also, because the blue player has lost 1 of his sectors, he will need to discard 1 of his glory tokens, but not before the yellow player is going to score influence according to all of the glory tokens of the blue player. So we have here 7, 9, 12 points. So that means that it's going to be 158 points for the yellow player. And now the blue player is going to lose 1. So of course he's going to discard this one over here. And guys, this is it. That is the end of phase B. So let's start with phase C. The first thing is the Voidborn strikes back. Now, obviously we don't have here anymore Voidborn sectors, but we do have here these 2 things that you probably asked yourself the whole time. Asaf, what are those things? So guys, these things are called Harbinger, and it's just to symbolize this, that this sector and this one are basically adjacent to the Voidborn. Okay, so invasion can happen over here and right over here. Now, obviously, you cannot interact with those things. It's just to make sure that we don't have the entire galaxy, let's say, or the entire board without any Voidborn on it. So now for the invasion, let's start with the blue player. So the Voidborn will invade with a fleet of 2 fleet power because we have 1 corruption over here on the board, but because it's cycle number 3, we know that he will invade with 1 more. But the thing is that with a 2 fleet power over here, he will lose 1 thanks to the sector defense, and then he will not have the initiative, so he will lose. Then in the second thing, over here we can see that we have 2 sector defenses, so even for the yellow player, it's not relevant. Then we're going to the upkeep. So let's see what happens with the blue player. We can see that we have here 4 upkeep. So he will pay 4 food. From 5, it will go down to 1. And let's go to the yellow player. We can see that he has only 1 upkeep because he doesn't have a lot of agenda cards. I have a feeling that he will regret it, but let's see. So from 10, it will go down to 9. To be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that it was really pretty stupid of the yellow player, or basically of me, not to use at all these trade tokens. Guys, again, this video is not here to give you any kind of strategical advices, so forgive me about that, but I hope I managed to show you a few things. So moving on, after the upkeep, we're going to go back to the galactic event. So now we can see that we can either score for all of our glory tokens, or we can score 5 points for each pure sector with a fleet power of 3 and more, and for each sector that we have 2 or more upkeep. I think that both of the players would prefer to score for their glory tokens. I think that it will make a little bit more sense. The blue player, first of all, will score. So we have here a 10, so 168, and the yellow player will score for 8 plus 6, that's 14, so 172. Now moving on to the last thing, and that is scoring for the agenda cards. So the blue player, for each pure sector, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 18 points. So that is already 186 that he has over here. And then for every pure sector with a sector defense, so we have here 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4 more points. We are at 190. Then with the shipyards, we have 1, 2, and 3. That is 6 more points, 196. Moving on to the next agenda card. So this is not relevant. And over here, we can see that we have only this one right over here, a pure sector that has a 2 fleet power and more. So that's 5 more points. So we are at 201. Then moving to the next agenda card, if this specific tracker would have been in the threshold in number 2 and it's pure, then we would have received 5 influence points, but we don't have it. And then for each 2 resources of the top 3, we will receive 1 influence. So we have here 14, divide by 2, that is 7. So that means that we will have 208 points. And then for the last agenda cards, the blue player is not going to score points because it is corrupted. So the final score of the blue player, it's 208. Let's see what does the yellow player has. Oh my God, this is nerve-breaking even for me. So starting with the first one, the yellow player has 7 pure sectors, that means 21 points. So that is 193 from 171. Then the sector defenses, we have 1, 2, and 3. So that is 3 more points, 196. Then we have 1, 2, and 3. So that is 6 more points. That is already 202. Then moving to the next agenda card. So over here we can see that we do have this condition because we have more than 3 pure sector defenses. So that means that we will receive 5 more points, 207. And then the last one, we have 2 influence for each fleet power in a pure sector. So that is what is going to completely break the blue player. And we have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, that is 18 more points. And that means that from 207, we're going to have 225 points, declaring the yellow player as the winner. Guys, if you've survived with me so far in this saga, thank you so much for your patience, for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that I haven't played maybe to the maximum of strategy, but I just wanted to show you here the maximum of things that we can learn about this incredible game. Nigel Buckle, thank you so much for your help and for your patience. I appreciate it a lot. Guys, stay safe and see you next time.